Welcome back to the Brandon K Show. Yeah. Welcome back. We're back in studio. We did entertainment roundup the last couple weeks. We were talking Disney and Marvel, and we talked about all the best movies of the 2000s. But today we're talking Star Trek with my special guest, Steven. Yes. Steven identifies as a Trekkie. I asked him.
Steven looks prepared.
All right. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about Trek.
Now, we got another Trekkie here. Solomon, I think you're a Trekkie, secret Trekkie.
More than secret, but I don't go to the conventions and stuff like that. But
I showed up here and I started setting up all my Star Wars stuff, and sometimes we clash because he's got Star Trek over on the other set, Star
Yeah.
Trek figurines, and
that's part of my standard package.
how long have you been watching Star Trek?
Oh, since I was a kid. I mean, I had like pointy ears, and my mom said it was because I watched so much. And Captain Kirk was like my dad growing up, man. That's like
So original series?
it's in the blood. Yeah, original series. But then recently, and actually, I'm watching the 4 seasons of Enterprise with Scott Bakula, so I'm sort of binge watching that.
I love that show.
Yeah, I started it and I never finished it, so I just wanted to make sure I got through all of it. Yeah.
Steven and I were talking about it in the car. He said he wasn't the biggest fan of the Enterprise series.
Well, I'll tell you, and we can discuss this if you like. I Watching it is pretty interesting because Captain Archer does things that no Star Trek captain would ever do. He's resorted to torture. He's done lots of crazy stuff just to get the mission done. And I think, he sort of created the archetype for the captains as they came forward. I mean, he had the toughness of Captain Kirk, but he was willing to go further. So it showed that wildness of the human species compared to like all of the other aliens out there.
Yeah. There was more of a utopian vision for the timeline afterward.
Yeah.
Well, what Steven was saying in the car was like on UPN when Enterprise was started, like it seemed like kind of like sensationalized, like, oh, this week Captain Archer is gonna go kick some ass and go, get laid, like so it didn't seem like a real Star Trek captain.
I haven't seen him get laid much.
There was a lot of sexy adventures
Oh,
in the commercials. There would be
okay.
advertising. And, this week's preview on UPN, Captain Archer, and he gets into a sexy mystery with T'Pol or whatever.
T'Pol, she was a sexy Vulcan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did look nice.
You know what's interesting though? Out of all the characters on that show, the character who they filled out their background the most has been T'Pol.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, T'Pol, and then Trip, of course, who's Tucker, right? And they're the two who got together at some point during the show. But I'm on the part now where he's sort of transferred to a different ship temporarily.
We're gonna talk all about the different incarnations of Star Trek. We already got into it, but before we do that, I'm just gonna say that Brandon K Show is brought to you by Giftiply, charity wrapping paper. 33% of your proceeds go to great charities like Best Friends Animal and the Animal Society and Be the Match and all these great causes. So use the BK Show code to get 25% off. We thank Patrick and Patrick with their great Giftiply wrapping paper, and it has cats on it.
And thank you for the design. This is this matching sweaters one, right? Is that the one you gave me here?
Yeah, they're awesome designs, and I'm trying to start giving this to the guests. I gave some to Solomon, and I'm gonna give some to Steven here right on camera.
Yeah. And I think
So he has to keep it forever.
the cool thing is that
Well, I'm going to give it away to somebody.
Yeah, use it.
yeah. But you see this if you notice the cool thing is they're each designed by a different artist. This one's designed by Cara Levine, knit together countless strands of DNA, lots of common things. So I think that's very, very cool. Not to mention the fact that they do donate a good portion of the proceeds to charity. I think that's pretty cool.
It's an awesome company, and Patrick's a big supporter of the show. So, but we're here to talk about Star Trek today on the Entertainment Roundup, and my introduction to Star Trek, besides seeing like 1 or 2 movies the like Generations as a kid and not really knowing what's going on because I never seen the show. Was that I was never into Star Trek. I don't know much about it. I first saw the 2009 reboot, the J.J. Abrams reboot,
Okay.
and that was my introduction to the series. And I mean, I thought it was pretty cool, but I could see like it's new actors playing the characters. So like, how did you like the reboot?
They were they were okay. Uh, they had Chris Pine did a good job as Captain Kirk.
It's a hard role to step into.
Oh yeah. Captain Kirk is a
Iconic.
basically a lot of people's grandpa or or father.
He's
Yeah.
so funny.
So stepping in as somebody's dad is
Yes.
it's not easy.
Yes.
And then the other guy, Zachary
Quinto.
Quinto. I think he did a good job as Spock. But they kind of with the whole time travel thing and they did it in a Trek way, I guess. And they replaced a lot of the philosophy with zap 'em and lots of lasers and phaser battles and all the ships flying around and all that. So I don't know. I'm used to boring Trek.
So you're a classic Trekkie fan, right?
I like boring Trek.
Right. So you'd probably hate Discovery then, where they don't even have to fly; they just sort of like pop out and pop back in to different
Yeah.
places.
And they don't have that long moment of teleporting from place to place.
Yeah.
It's
Solomon.
it's all wrong.
Solomon, what about you with the 2009 reboot? Fan?
I loved it because number one, I loved seeing Star Trek come back to the big screen. And the cool thing about it was you got these new characters and they sort of reimagined the way you got to see young Kirk driving his dad's car, getting arrested. You sort of see his origins.
It was weird
sort
to
of how
see
he
him on
came
Earth.
about.
Like he started out on Earth.
Yeah. And just see how he came about and how he went through all these struggles of just trying to determine who he was and who his inspiration was in Captain Pike and then finally getting on the ship. He didn't take the normal way. He cheated on the Kobayashi Maru. You know what that is, right?
Nope.
Okay. Well, it's
Sounds-
basically a test that all Star Trek, I guess maybe it's officers have to go through, where you're put in this situation. It's a no-win situation, and they want to see how you handle it. And so no one's ever beat it, but he hacked the system and figured out a way to beat it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I only saw it in theaters. I haven't seen it since, so it's been a long time since I saw it. But
Oh,
I
okay.
remember enjoying it.
Yeah, I keep a DVD of it locally here.
Okay, and then what
Yeah.
about the sequels? Were you a fan of the Into Darkness and the next one?
Yeah, Into Darkness. What remind me, Steven? That was the one where
That was that
That's
the con?
That's the con one. Yeah, Into
Oh,
Darkness.
that was
Oh,
Into Darkness.
yeah,
was the
yeah.
con one.
yeah.
Also, that's actually what made me not like the first one as much, is because the way they went with all these fan service, where they flipped the role of instead of Spock dying, Kirk died and still yelled Khan, and I instead of crying
hmm
in the original Wrath of Khan, I laughed. It's
Yeah.
kinda like I knew it was coming, and the same emotion wasn't there.
Do you feel like the newer ones were probably made for a newer generation though? Because a lot of times when they remake stuff, right, they do it either A to sort of like bring back that nostalgia with the people who really loved it, or B, try to like make this character new for a new generation.
Yeah, I guess, but
But-
they're my characters. Dang it!
Yeah.
Not for these kids.
That's how I feel.
But well, I guess you felt like they left. They changed it all and they left they didn't pay homage to the original, or they paid homage but they didn't stay true to the original.
It's impossible to top that moment where Spock is on one side of the glass asking, is the ship safe? And then Kirk accepting.
Well,
his-
wait,
his
you know
best
what?
friend.
I'm gonna put you guys on hold for a second because I have something for that.
Oh, okay. Well, are we like actually on hold or are we on the show? We are on the
Yeah.
show. Yeah. So you're not a fan of Star Trek Into Darkness?
The new Trek, no.
Does it have its moments that
There was some fun moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, any movie.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go, right here.
Let's show that.
Yes, this is the
I told you
moment.
he's got his
Yeah, this
So
is the
that's
moment.
that's the actual scene right there.
Hold on, we got to get it close
Yeah.
to the. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I never saw Star Trek 2.
Mm.
But I know about the moment because it's iconic. It
Yeah.
yells Khan, Spock dies, something.
Yeah.
Okay, it gets grown men that don't cry to shed a tear.
And I
Yeah.
know
It's
that
very sad.
Into
moment.
Darkness, Khan was played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch, right,
And
yeah.
I don't even know if I said his name right. But and they kept it under wraps. Like they didn't say he was going to play Khan. It was kind of like a surprise in the movie. But I never actually. I think I did watch it, but I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
But and then there was the third one where they're just like on some alien planet.
Well, the only thing that
Saved by the Beastie Boys.
the only thing I didn't really like was if you think about all the technology of their weaponry, right? That means the Federation's been on forever, right? And in the first episode, they get beat up by some ship that uses it's not even a weapon, it's something they use for mining or something,
Yeah.
right? And so they got these that can destroy ships, right? And then in the third one, same thing. They get beat up by another ship that just has like this equipment to do other stuff. I mean, this he built all these ships. And so these weren't even weapons, but they're just decimating the Star Trek fleet. I forget what those things were.
They were like a hive drone army kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Something
then
like that.
they were able to disrupt their communications with a Beastie Boys song.
Oh, like
uh,
they literally played a Beastie
yeah,
Boys song.
yeah. I think it was Beastie Boys.
in the
So-
movie.
200 years from now, the only music they still have is from like the early 2000s or 90s.
So were you talking about which movie were you talking about?
Not Into Darkness, the next one.
The third one, yeah, I saw that
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the cast. I thought it was cool. But it introduced me back to Star Trek. But having said that, okay, those movies are cool. I didn't become like the hugest fan, but when I started watching the original series, because I moved in with my friend T in 2018, and every night they would play the original, and these are all with commercials on regular TV.
Yeah.
They would play the original, then they'd play Next Generation, then they'd play Voyager, Deep Space Nine, whichever order that was, and then Enterprise at the end of the night. I would catch it, 1 or 2 times a week and catch all these different episodes on repeat for 3 years while I was living with them.
That's pretty cool.
And, we really enjoyed it and bonded over it. And obviously the originals, especially Next Generation, those are the ones where, there's so much good stuff in there. And I became more of a Star Trek fan on that at that time. And then now I'm into like Picard. They brought back Picard, which has been awesome. I liked the Picard show. But
Yeah. Picard was interesting. I originally thought, is this going to be Picard living on his winery and we're hearing about, his issues with the grapes and, family life and stuff. And it's like, I wasn't going to watch it. But then when I saw him get back on the ship, I'm like, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
All right. We're back in it.
His proper place is
Well,
on the bridge.
Yeah.
Picard, the season 1 is he's diagnosed with like cancer or something.
Yeah. He's always had it, I think.
And he's gonna go on his final mission, and it's tied in with Data, and Data created and another AI, and he's like bringing the AI back to her home planet, and it's really cool, and it's tied into AI technology and kind of our current world, and yeah, I think it's really good show. And then season 2 gets even better because spoiler alerts, Q comes back. So,
Yeah.
So I
Q and
always like
Q Jr.
I always like Q as a character.
Oh yeah, he was a lot of fun.
So actually, I'm saving season 3, but season 2, awesome. Season 2 was like really good sci-fi.
You sound like you know a little bit about Star Trek.
I've learned over the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you like sci-fi, you like sci-fi, I mean, how many times have we caught ourselves at night, nobody's home, you're looking and you see some cheesy sci-fi movie and you go, yeah, let's give that a shot.
Exactly.
I mean, that's when you know you're a true sci-fi buff, You do
Absolutely.
that.
Mine was it might have even been before Star Wars, but it was Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Oh,
fifth
great movie.
Fifth Element was, and then it was just like Star Wars and Fifth Element. I want to see more cool stuff like this,
Yeah.
and that was my introduction to sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's hard to give it good life though. I mean, sci-fi needs, all the crazy science stuff going on in the background. Element was one of the first movies to have like the flying cars in the background, the full living city,
Mhm.
uh, and aliens, mixed around with everybody without making it a spectacle. It was just kind of way of life.
I like a good fun alien in my sci-fi. I
Mm.
want an alien. I want a robot, and but not all sci-fi will do that. Like some stuff they
Costs money.
exactly, yeah. I mean, like I don't know. It seems like some of the shows I'm not as into are like Stargate or like what's the one with the Cylon
Bat-
Battlestar
Battlestar. I just
Galactica.
Battlestar
haven't
Galactica.
watched it. It just doesn't seem as
Oh.
fun to me because it doesn't have as many fun aliens.
Well,
No, it's just people
It's
well,
it's 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 another kind of sci-fi.
and
yeah.
robot people.
Well, let me add that I think the actual first one to really like lay out the city was Blade Runner, and a lot of elements of Fifth Element came from that Blade Runner thing. Where it's sort of this mishmash of cultures and technology all together. Eating on the sidewalk things, and they did that. And speaking of Blade Runner 2049 was like I put that on my list of top 5 all time. A lot of people didn't.
I was just
Yeah,
on my show talking about how much I did not like that movie, but
Blade
I
Runner.
also said that I did not see the original.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
so
the original will put you to sleep today.
yes,
That way
So if it's
back
a movie
Very
that's
when.
gonna
slow
put if it's a
pace.
movie that's gonna put you to sleep, and then you
Yeah.
have to have watched that to like the new one, then like
Well, what I mean is by way back then, it was considered something great, just like watching. What was I forget the name of the movie? I can't do that. Hal, whatever. 2001, right? Space
yeah,
Odyssey.
Space Odyssey.
That would have put you. That was phenomenal. Then it'll put you to sleep today. Is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But the Blade Runner 2049, I think it was just artistic. It was just beautiful. It was a beautiful movie to
It-
me,
it-
and it had a lot going on.
yeah, it was. I could see why somebody would like it, especially because they made it all as like a tribute to the original,
Yeah.
and but it was doing a weird thing where like the music was like a frequency I didn't really like. It was playing like this very suspenseful kind of like like
Mm.
this like ambient like noise that was like making me
Oh,
uncomfortable.
yeah. There are frequencies that do that. That will make you terrified, right? Make you
Did
poop
you
on
experience that?
yourself.
Were they trying
the brown note.
Yeah.
were they trying to make me crap myself
uh, maybe.
Just
or did
feel
you experience
anxious.
that? Where like because
No,
like
I didn't crap
there was
myself
there were
watching.
there was like some suspense, like they were trying to build suspense. Did you see 2049?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately, I try not to watch those remake. After I saw Total Recall, the remake of that, that was so awful.
yeah.
I wouldn't.
Mm.
I can't do that to myself.
Well, if I were to recommend anyone to you right now, it would be this one. It would be to
Okay,
watch Blade Runner
so
2049,
it's
man.
not like Total Recall, the new because
No.
Total Recall was a great movie. It was silly and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an Arnold film. But it
Yeah.
was a sci-fi movie. I had 3 boobs and people with mutant, the whole mutant thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they decided, oh, you know what? We're not even going to do Mars. It's just one side of the planet's poison, the other side's. So they didn't abuse 2049 the way they did Total Recall, huh?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a reimagining. And I think people were excited because Harrison Ford was still in it. And in his same role too on it.
Oh, he was
So,
Decker, right?
yeah. So in his
Oh,
same
with the anti-aging technology, where like
n-
he didn't look
no,
old, did he?
he was an AI.
What?
That's what was discovered at the end of the first one, that he was one of those
Oh yeah,
augmented humans.
yeah. And then they run
And
into
so
his.
they had this awesome fight scene in this casino in New Las Vegas. Man, you got to see that.
Okay.
It's a great movie to
How
watch.
about we'll go back to Star Trek, but how about Dune? Dune. Do you guys seen the new Dune movies?
I have
Solomon's
not.
making a face like
Yeah.
Dune 1 or 2. You're not. Did you?
Well, I mean, Dune, like, I think I originally read the book, you know, But the movie's just slow. It's just slow, and then they have these fight scenes, and you don't really know what they're fighting about, and you don't know why
It's
it's so
complicated. It's
important to
convoluted.
them,
It's
and
convoluted.
yeah, and
Did
now
you
you
watch
gotta
the new
know.
ones?
No, I haven't. Well, I watched the first new
You
one.
watched the first new one, which I've
Yeah,
heard is very slow and
yeah, and
boring.
and they sort of like hoodwinked people by showing it was going to be with Zendaya. What's her name? Zendaya,
Zendaya, but
and
she
she
doesn't
had like
show
one
up.
cameo in
Yeah,
there, and
she
then that
doesn't
was
show up
it.
till the end.
Till the
Well,
second
that's
one.
why I heard Dune 2 was awesome, and I actually did not watch Dune 1. I only watched Dune 2, but
Yeah,
Dune 2 is awesome.
you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed Dune 2, and it started to make sense to me. And then I went back and talked about it with somebody and made more sense to me. And I haven't gone back and watched Dune 1, but I heard Dune 1 is boring. How about the original Dune? Is the original Dune boring?
No, and I would probably watch the original Dune, you know. And there are some originals that don't get old, like if
Star Wars: A New Hope,
Mad Max. I think you can go at
Empire
any
Strikes Back.
point and watch Mad
How
Max.
about the Star Trek, the first 5 Star Trek movies? Are those still good to go back and
Um,
watch?
I mean, if you can get over the 70s haircuts, you know what I mean, and the low budget things that they did, when they did a lot with that. But I think now you look back on that and it's hard to not see those things. It's hard to not see the simplicity of the uniforms
Are
and
they
all
action
that
packed?
stuff.
Like, because I I have a short attention span. So are they slow?
Each movie's its own thing.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
avoid the first one, watch the second one.
Jump into the second one.
Yeah. Third one, uh, uh, my guilty pleasure, of course, is the one where they save the whales, number 4. Um,
Okay, wait, are we back on Star Trek or
Yeah,
Star
yeah, yeah.
Wars?
Star Trek.
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
First
what I know
one.
all about Star Wars.
Oh,
I'm asking
okay.
you
I
about
was talking about Star Wars.
Oh,
no, no,
Star
no, no, no.
Wars?
I was talking about Star Trek.
Star Trek. Okay, so the first movie you're saying.
Uh-huh. The
Yeah.
first 5 Star Trek, which was the original cast of
Okay.
Star Trek.
To be honest, I didn't really like many of the Star Trek movies. I just Captain Kirk looked older. Everybody looked older. You know what I
He'd
mean?
gotten
And
a little fatter.
yeah, and you're used to these characters being so iconic, right? I mean, in the regular series, and so that was one thing. In fact, what's funny is when the Next Generation came out, and you see this old man as the captain, I'm going, what? And so then you see Riker, so I'm going, okay, maybe this captain's going to get killed off, and Riker's going to be the captain.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, then I'll be back to the Star Trek where you're used to having this young, daring captain.
Were you saying Picard looked old? Is that
Picard,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's
This is
bald, but
old.
he wasn't old. He was
He
like in his
was
40s. He was
he
like
wasn't
40s.
Captain Kirk young, which is
Okay,
what people
okay.
were expecting.
Yeah, he wasn't in
It-
his 30s.
yeah, that's what I was expecting at
Can you
that
bring up
point.
that picture of all the captains again? I want to look at them.
Well, let's see. That wasn't all of them,
I know, and they
but I'll
didn't even
find one
they
that
didn't even have
has
Kirk. Oh, they didn't have the
They had
original.
Kirk. They had Pike.
They had the
That one had
original
Pike.
Kirk. They
Right.
didn't have the old. They didn't have the new Kirk. Okay,
Let's
I
see.
gotcha.
Let me find it.
So, but no,
here.
but that's fun because I get watching all these old show or watching them all every week. What's the Kate Mulgrew or who
Kate
Yeah.
Mulgrew.
who,
Yeah, yeah.
who does she play?
Janeway. Captain
Janeway.
Janeway. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Janeway.
that's her up here in the corner.
709. That was a great show. Obviously,
So these
Cisco's
are
badass.
yeah. But what was he captain of, really?
The space station.
The space station, Deep
Deep
Space
Space
Nine, but
Nine.
also that other little ship they had,
The
Defiant,
Defiant.
right?
yes.
It had so many guns it would tear itself apart. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's what they were saying about it.
It was fast and small.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
could go
yeah.
invisible if they needed it to for
Yeah.
the plot. But when the plot demanded, the cloak wouldn't work.
Right, of course. Just like every Mission Impossible film.
Yes. Yeah.
all right.
None of
So
the
here's
technology
a
works.
fin game. You got all the shows in front of you.
All right.
How do
Spock
you
was
rank?
never
How do you rank them, Steven? You can go first, and even if you haven't seen some of them,
Obviously, Kirk is number 1.
Kirk's one.
Yes.
And it's kind of a tie between Picard and Cisco. See, the thing is that Picard, he wasn't a wartime captain, so he got to just play the morality.
Diplomat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
diplomat, morality police for the morality play. While Cisco's a wartime captain, so morality kind of goes out the window, and just winning the war is more important. And then Janeway, she did some questionable things to get her people home,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like murdering Tuvix. Some people if you knew about that episode, you'd have an opinion.
Tuvix is a person or two
Ev-
Tuvix?
In one episode,
two of them.
Neelix and Tuvok get merged together in a transporter incident.
But say those names again.
Tuvok.
Is that
And
the
Neelix.
Is
That's
that
the Black Vulcan.
yeah,
Yeah.
Vulcan and
Yeah.
and who's the
Yeah.
other one?
Some annoying
Neelix. He was
Neelix.
he ended up being the cook on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know all
Yeah.
these characters. Yeah,
was-
okay.
he was
they
like
got
the-
merged together.
They got merged together in an
Weird.
episode,
Okay.
and
What
they
did that,
couldn't.
what did that look like? Can we pull up what
Yeah,
that looked like?
Neelix
Tuvix.
Tuvok?
Okay.
Well, and
Let's see.
unfortunately, at first everyone's apprehensive to the whole thing, and they can't wait for them to be split apart. But they can't figure it out for like a month, and everyone gets attached to this new character, Tuvix, and then they figure out how to split him apart, and he doesn't want to get split apart anymore.
Were the original characters in that body, or they were still existing outside? Of
No, they were stuck in
So you had
melded
two
together.
characters
Yeah.
in
You had
one
two
mind,
characters stuck in one body.
and then
And
Go
then
on.
and then Janeway ultimately made the decision to
That's-
split them apart. And
Oh.
at the very end, Tuvix is like, "No, I want to live," and and
Yeah.
Oh.
It always
and
says that. Let's
I mean,
see
that
here.
doesn't make any sense because it's two different.
that guy. Yeah. It's not.
No. Okay. So it's a separate entity, but I mean, the other characters
it's
would have
two-
died to let Tuvix
See?
live.
See,
Right.
Let the
It's
other
tough.
two die.
it's a tough moral position.
Yeah.
I thought he was annoying, but it got rid of Neelix, so I was okay with them being merged.
You know,
Neelix grew on me after a while.
Yeah,
Yeah, he grew on me after a while.
yeah, he had his moments, but that whole taking, like he had his girlfriend was like a 2-year-old.
Yeah, she only lived for a couple years or something.
Yeah, that was
Weird
like
thing
a
to say.
Weird, yeah, exactly. It was kind of a weird possessive relationship he had with her. There was a lot of weird, yeah.
But she
um,
ended up being evil or something
She
by the
did
end.
turn evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Janeway, and then she also gave some technology to the Borg in order for them to fight species 84172 or
yeah.
whatever number it was.
Yeah.
So, but she had to do what she had to do to get her people home. Damn the circumstances. Oh,
that's what a good captain does.
yeah. Just dooming half of the
Yeah,
Delta
8472. That's what it was. Yeah.
All right.
8472, okay.
And Solomon, it's your turn to rank the captains.
My
Maybe
turn
pull 'em
to
back
rank
on-
the
pull 'em
captains.
Pull him back on the screen if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's see here.
Was Archer up there?
No, interestingly enough,
Yeah.
but that might have been an
Spock is up there, but Archer isn't.
old. Yeah, it might have been an old picture.
No, but
Let's
it's not
see.
an old picture because it has It has the girl who's newer than Archer. So
That's
they
true.
actually left
Something
Archer
from
out.
you. Well,
Archer
let's
is from
see.
Enterprise. Janeway is from Voyager. Who's from Deep Space Nine? What's his name?
That's Cisco.
Captain Cisco.
Cisco is from Deep Space
Think the
Nine.
thong song.
Yeah.
Picard, of course, is Next Generation, and Kirk is from the original, and then that girl there is from
Discovery.
which
Yeah.
is the new show. Which I know there's blue Klingons. I don't know much else.
Blue Klingons?
Aren't there blue Klingons?
No.
Maybe the lighting crew needs to get
Oh,
Yeah.
stuff
I heard they were
in order.
Yeah, I don't think there's blue Klingons, but if I had to rank these, all right, obviously Captain Kirk is number one, and
I put Picard at number one.
well, this is my list. Wait,
Yeah,
we're
that's
gonna get
his
to you.
list.
Second for me would actually be Archer. I think he's just tough, no nonsense. And third for me would be Janeway because she basically had her crew in an impossible situation. First of all, you had the Maquis, right? And getting through that, like having to deal with trying to put these two crews together and make them work. You're in this hostile territory. Everybody's out to get you. And and just keeping their hope up. I mean, there was a lot there. And so I would put her at number 3. And then number 4 would be probably Picard.
There he is, front
Yeah.
and center.
And then I don't really rank. I forget the guy on the new, this is Captain Pike. Yeah. I don't really rank him yet because he really hasn't had to do much. He's just more cracks jokes. He's got number 1 who doesn't have a name, which is pretty funny in itself.
Yeah, number one.
Yeah. Which is played by Rebecca Romaine. But yeah, she doesn't have a name. But did you ever see that episode where they got mixed up with Star Trek, the cartoon version, and those couple guys came on board as human beings, and it was sort of crazy. Um, oh, Star Trek Lower Decks.
Okay, yeah, I haven't even seen that one.
Oh, so Lower Decks is basically a cartoon version based around these
The
like
low ranking people.
yeah, the low ranking people and the things that they have to do, and they went through some portal and ended up as human beings, two men as human beings on uh Captain Pike's ship, and
Hmm.
they idolized her because obviously they're from the future, and so they're seeing number one, and she's like the icon of Star Trek enlistment and everything. So they just sort of were scared of her. Actually, pretty funny.
So you guys both rank Kirk as number one.
Yes.
Does that mean the original series was the show you would most want to watch, or just that you like him as a captain?
For me, yes.
You would like to watch the original series above
Yes.
all these other shows.
Yes.
Okay. Steven?
I like Deep Space Nine the most,
Mm-hmm.
but I gotta give Captain Kirk the credit, man. He was there he's basically grandfather
Yeah.
to a lot of people, and he made that show what it is. We wouldn't have Trek without him being hamming it up on screen
Yeah.
and making out with green women and fighting the Gorn, the giant rubber lizard man. Um,
That was an iconic fight too.
yes.
Didn't they bring back Gorn for the third reboot movie?
They did in a different capacity. The
Yeah.
Gorn in that capacity, they were like ruthless killers who just destroyed planets and stuff. They were pretty scary. These guys was just some big rubber dude that he ended up killing with a bamboo and some rope and
Yeah,
yeah.
he found some sulfur
Yeah.
and some salt and made gunpowder and
Yeah.
shot a wooden shotgun at him.
Blasted that fool.
Well, I know it makes it. It's like the more you know about it, the better it is. But I know it makes all the Trekkies happy when, like, you take the old elements from the first show and bring them into the new show as much as
Yeah,
possible.
and you have to do that. I mean, you want to carry your old audience into a newer thing, but yet at the same time, you understand the newer audience is what's going to get you advertising dollars and box office receipts and stuff. And so you have to engender them as well.
Gotta cater to the kids.
Yeah,
Hard.
I remember when you remember when Cisco first met Picard,
Oh yeah.
and he
Throwing
was
some
looking at him
shade,
like,
man.
"Yeah,
Hold
like,
on.
you have a
When
problem?"
at what time did Cisco meet Picard?
The first episode.
Yeah,
Of
Deep Space Nine.
Okay.
So Cisco's wife was killed at Wolf 39.
359. Yeah.
359, yeah. So
He sort of blamed Picard.
yeah. Well, without Picard's, knowledge and whatever, Wolf 359 would not have been as much of a disaster. And in fact, the first episode shows his wife dying during the battle. It might actually be the most that we've seen that battle.
Yeah.
It's off screen, everyone going, oh, you hear over the comms, everyone dying.
So Picard is literally in the first episode, kind of passing the torch.
Well,
to-
he's transferring people to Deep Space Nine.
okay,
And
but he's
so
almost like Cisco almost sees him as the bad guy, or
yeah, he just blames him for his wife's death.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. I didn't know. I didn't know.
My
I
wife
never
wouldn't
caught
be
the-
dead without you.
I never caught the first episode.
But it was because he was Locutus at the time, and they basically had everything he knew about Star Trek. So he knew their
Locutus.
deflector
Okay,
frequencies
for
and all
everybody
that
who
stuff.
doesn't know, because I just learned this today. Locutus was when Picard was taken over by the Borg,
Right.
and so he made some bad decisions as he was completely. He was the Borg. He wasn't.
Yeah,
he wasn't
He
Picard.
wasn't
Borg.
himself.
So I mean, you can't blame someone who's the Borg.
No, but when
Yeah.
somebody dies, you blame them anyway.
Yeah. Well, somebody's wife gets brutally murdered in a space battle. Whoever's responsible, Borg or not, just you can have some resentments against that.
And sorry, you can pull that back up. But
Oh, okay.
so which show came first? Was it?
Next Generation. So the order.
I know Next Generation, and then
Next
it was
Generation, and then I think
Voyager,
Voyager,
and
and
then
then,
Deep-
Deep Space.
but they
Nine.
were on at the same time.
They were all on at the same time. It
All
was a
of
quick
them.
succession.
on the same channel.
You could tell that sometimes
Were they
like,
on at the same time? I don't remember that.
There
They
was
were
there was
overlap. They
some
overlapped. There was overlap somewhere. There he
That's
is.
Locutus.
The cutest. That's great.
And he was the first one to actually have a name, though, right?
Yes. Later on, they had another episode where Hugh was. They found a
Oh,
Borg.
yeah,
He was the second one with the Borg with a
I think I
name.
saw that one. I
Yeah.
saw the
that
Hugh.
was
That was after Locutus.
okay. I'm trying to think which series was that? Was that
That was
on?
Next
It
Generation.
was Next Generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they found a couple of surviving Borg, and they well, one of them that was alive. They brought him back to the ship, and everyone's all like, "Oh my God, you got Borg on the ship. We shouldn't let him, live. We should just leave him to die." And they let him. Of course, Dr. Crusher is like, "No, it's a living being. We need to save the living being." And at one point, he picks a name, becomes friends with Geordi, and there was that moment where uh, Picard is actually talking to Hugh and pretends that he's still Locutus to find out more about him. And that's so yeah, Locutus is the first one with a name, and then Hugh is the second one with a name, and that actually caused a whole problem down the road.
And then, of course, Voyager. They basically kidnap and and brainwash a Borg, to becoming one of them, right?
She looked good in a skin suit.
Yeah. And then they had the 3 kids at one point as well. Remember, they had the 3
Yeah,
kids that they transferred from being a Borg.
Job, or something, Jaleb, or
Did you see season 2 of Picard, Solomon?
Yes.
So, and this will be spoiler alerts for Steven and anybody else watching, but what did you think about what they did with the Borg in season 2, where the female character took over as the Borg queen?
Oh, I mean, mm, I think honestly they gave her too much personality. She was basically a human being with, Borg capability. She was evil and cunning, and she just reminded me of like a Disney evil princess.
Are you talking about the Borg queen? Like
Yeah.
they gave the Borg queen who
Yeah.
she had been on previous episodes, and then you got to talk to her more, but you felt like she wasn't her character.
Well,
same
I felt
character?
I felt like she was just like an evil human being with Borg powers. You
Mm.
know what I mean? You didn't really get Borg from her. Borg are straightforward, analytical, logical, process driven. And then you got this queen who basically maybe she's supposed to bridge the gap between humanity and whatever, but she was just more human, just had Borg stuff.
Huh. Yeah, because the Borg Queen, there's moments where you could tell that they're they could feel the hive communicating with
Right.
them while they're in their decision making.
Yeah.
She was just in charge of the Borg instead of like the Hive Queen.
Yeah, but when she interacted with humans, you could see she was like seductive to a certain degree, evil to a certain degree, just very, very human.
So it was a bit of a you weren't a fan of their portrayal
Well,
of the Borg queen.
I appreciate the fact that they had to make a character out of her. You know what I mean? They had to give her some substance to make her the enemy. and
Had
that's-
she not been on the show before? I don't know the history.
Well, I don't remember all of that. I just remember her primary moments.
Steven, do you remember
things
the
she was
Borg
trying to
queen
do.
and how
Oh.
how often you saw her? It was from Voyager.
You never saw the Borg Queen in Star Trek Next Generation, from memory. But in the movies you did, in the Next Generation movies, and in Voyager, you saw her, a lot of her.
And what did you think? Did she seem like she was a robot or a hive mind or
It was the hive. She's the Hive Queen. She helps centralize the all the different parts of the hive's thoughts, and she
Yeah.
kind of is the lead decision maker.
so she was more of like
Right.
a movie character and then yeah.
And-
Yeah.
and in charge of the Delta Quadrant's hive, Borg hive mind. And you had a feeling that there's more than one queen floating around, maybe one queen for every 10 million or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. But that was the point. They had to humanize her in order to vilify her. So we get that, you know what I mean? But it just wasn't like Borg, like even Locutus. Locutus was like he didn't have a ton of personality. He was just like, I am this and here's what we're gonna do, and go get him. You know what I
It's
mean?
a hive mind, yeah. Then
Yeah.
they just are what's their deal? They just want to take over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they assimilate.
Assimilate.
Your biological functions and technology will service us.
So they don't have human characteristics. But I mean, we know 709. She broke out of the she. How
Seven,
does 709 keep her Borg characteristics while also being free?
well, it's 7 of 9.
Seven of
I
nine.
don't want you to piss off any Trekkies who watch this.
So the way that they got 7 of 9 is they brokered a deal with the Borg. Voyager did in order to like deal with the species 8479. I think it was
Yeah, for 8472.
8472. So they're like the Borg sent her as a liaison to start working on the
Pull up
Voyager.
a picture of 7 of 9. For
Yes,
my
please.
audience.
Oh, I know you want to.
Please pull up a picture. But she worked as the liaison on the ship, and at one point, after they basically kidnapped her.
They kidnapped her.
They kidnapped her.
And then they took her away from her family. I mean, they like, she was like she couldn't hear the collective, and she was basically just she was totally kidnapped.
She came in as a mid-series kind of addition. She
Yeah.
wasn't part of the original cast for the Voyager show.
Which was great, actually, because she introduced a lot of character growth. A lot of the other characters, you kind of already knew, and there wasn't, they're trapped on a ship. There's not much character growth that you can experience with somebody that's trapped on a 50-year voyage.
Yeah.
While it was like, they kidnapped her and took her from her Borg collective, and it's like, okay, let's watch her become human.
Yeah.
You have a larger picture.
Oh, you want to see? Oh, you want to see a full body shot?
and
yeah.
she, she's a beautiful lady.
Jerry Ryan's
she-
beautiful. Yeah.
She looks good, and she looks good still in the Picard series, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
She keeps that show interesting. I bet like even
We'll see if
watching
we can
that show
find.
even watching that show like Voyager, and she's not on the show in the first couple seasons or whatever. It's like where's 7 of 9?
Actually, she did a really good job as the character.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Playing a robot, basically a human robot that slowly learns how to feel emotions and deal with them.
So you were
Yeah.
saying that who kidnapped her? The Borg kidnapped her?
No.
Well, the Borg kidnaps everybody.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she is a robot.
She's a Borg.
Isn't
She's
she
a
human?
cyborg.
Isn't she a human to
She's
start?
a human being
Yeah.
To start.
with all the Borg implants and all
Okay,
that
and
other
then
stuff.
she
Yeah.
has
So you
Borg
can see here
implants.
she was assimilated as a child.
Yeah, that's a Borg baby.
But she's a human who
Yeah.
has the mind of the Borg, but then she breaks free of that.
So the Borg basically puts implants in certain parts of your body so that you become part of the hive. And the people on Voyager at one point disconnect her from the hive mind.
This
Yeah.
is our answer too. Is she holds the memories of she holds the
being
memories
she
of
assimilated.
being she assimilated.
And this is her with the
Oh.
Borg Queen too, by the way.
Huh. So
Yeah.
she has a bunch of stuff going on. She's got a bunch.
Oh
of,
yeah. Yeah.
Complex.
Hold on. So she has everybody she assimilated is in her mind, but then she also has the Borg in her mind,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's how the Borg works. It's like they're an open network.
and that
Yeah.
thing on her face connects her to the Borg. It's like a
That's
piece
that's
of-
one of the
That's
things
just a piece of it.
they couldn't remove or
They
something.
couldn't remove it.
Yeah.
I was always confused what was going on with 7 of 9, and I'm still confused to be honest.
Really?
Does it keep you up at night?
Hey, I didn't think there's any man in North America who's confused about 7 of 9.
Hey, what is we have a thing on the screen? 18. What's 19? This is all. the
Well,
information.
19. Let's see. I don't know what this is. I just pulled something up here.
Yeah,
But
I mean it's very
she was
informative.
assimilated as a child
Okay,
here. Okay,
and
so we'll go to
then
18.
18.
She holds the memories of being she
17.
assimilated. Here, let's get this ad off of here.
She
She
had
has a son.
That's her son. Holy shit.
Yeah, and I don't remember. Do you remember how that happened?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't remember how that happened, but
Yeah, that was
She's got a very
an
ugly,
unremarkable episode.
ugly
Yeah.
son.
she's a formidable fighter.
Okay.
Yeah,
know
she
that.
fights.
Yeah.
We can put
So
that
she's
together.
she's a kick-ass lady.
We can put that together. Keep
Yeah.
keep scrolling.
Okay.
Yeah, did
let's
she
see.
ever end up shacking up with Chakotay?
Yes,
or-
she did.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's a sharp mind. We got that part. Just scroll a couple.
So yeah, this is the sharpest minds in the universe here.
Oh yeah, she was always in the
Hey, here's a weird one.
telemetrics lab. or
Here's a
whatever it's
weird-
called.
She needed surgery to be able to feel strong emotion.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
weird.
all
Okay.
right. So let's see here.
Yeah, when the doctors teach us-
Most of
yeah,
her
most
Borg
of her implants were removed.
Were removed.
Not all.
Not the most important ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it says invisible around her right eye, blah, blah, blah.
However,
Okay.
there's no way to make her fully human.
Now, this I wasn't really aware. They've never really shown a ton of things where they say she has super strength. You know what I mean? I've never really, like, it's not like, hey, we can't open this door. 7 of 9. Come handle this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do what Data does.
Yeah, it was never that, but I imagine she did. So let's see.
Well, sometimes they say we need a list of 20 things. Pad it up.
Yeah,
Incredible vision.
incredible vision.
Hey, you know what? She's in front of a computer screen all day. I don't believe that one.
Her recollection is unmatched.
Like a computer.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, we keep going.
All right.
Yeah,
Wait.
more photos.
She's filled with
She's filled with-
nanoprobes.
yeah,
Okay,
yes.
we sort of knew
That is a plot point that they've used a few times.
Right.
What is that?
Nanoprobes.
What does that mean?
So,
Yeah.
because she's still pretty Borg.
There's some explanation under here.
Yeah, there's like these nanite things.
Yeah, to
that
replace cell functioning. That
every
keeps
once
her
in a while,
young,
someone
keeps her body.
steals some of her blood, reprograms the nanoprobes, and uses it as a weapon against people.
Right. Because they're basically, little machines.
Yeah, nanobots.
Yeah.
Nanobots. Well,
Nanotech.
that's cool because like that was the 90s. I didn't hear about those till the last couple years. Like nanobots were,
Oh, yeah. So this one,
they're going to be a very
Well, Star Trek was great about. I mean, they would take like some scientist philosophical idea from the 50s, like the Dyson
Yeah.
sphere, and then they'd go, you know what? Let's make an episode with the Dyson sphere.
and then they popularize it. What is the Dyson sphere? What
It's basically a giant structure built around a star to pull unlimited energy out of it.
yeah.
All right, we're going down the list. 8, she can
Okay.
regenerate her body.
Yeah.
7.
Hit the wrong
sorry.
button. Let's go back. All right.
Yeah. 7, her
her
uniform is
uniform.
very constricting.
Jeez, I've never seen that photo.
I think every man has this photo imprinted.
That's not a real.
Yeah.
That's not a real one. That's
Actually, the
just-
last
yeah.
storage unit I bought had that picture. It was behind a picture of somebody's kids.
Her brain can be overloaded.
Now that I did not know.
Yeah.
but,
She ended up with this character,
Yeah,
Chichote.
Chakotay.
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 One of the
Yeah.
most boring, unremarkable characters in the show.
He's got a tattoo on his face.
Yeah.
He got with her.
You know, the thing I didn't really like about him is he went from being a leader of the Maquis
Yeah, he was
to just
cool.
being this follow the rules captain. I will do whatever you say. He just didn't have any like of his own gumption.
Yeah, there wasn't much
Yeah.
growth in him.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
I'm confused. He was a captain. I thought Janeway.
Well, he
a
was sort of like a rebel leader.
So the Maquis.
captain. He was on their ship as
Yeah.
doing some other.
So what happened was, there was this section of Starfleet that broke off to fight a war against the Cardassians,
Mhm.
not the Kardashians.
Cardassians, yes.
And they were called the Maquis. Well, he was the captain of a Maquis ship that Voyager was kind of going up against, that were all teleported 500,000 light years or whatever number it was
Right.
away. The Maquis ship was so damaged that it was unusable, and all the and they're so far away, they might as well just take any human they could. So the Maquis had to integrate into the Voyager's
Crew.
Oh,
which
and not just him, but multiple.
Yeah.
there was a handful of them. And
There's a bunch of them.
when the show was probably first written, they thought that would be enough drama for several seasons.
Mhm.
It lasted like 3 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like how often can you talk about, hey, they took my this or something was stolen, or I'm not gonna follow his orders.
Right. Yeah. They wanted
Yeah.
to bring them all together and give them more missions so that they could fight and be
Yeah.
like old Star Trek. Be like that's basically what Star Trek is you're always like facing an enemy every week.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so slowly they were integrated into the crew. So, the half Klingon, half human became sort of the chief engineer. Chakotay became the first officer. And so, that helped settle the crew and get them all to work together.
5, obviously, she suffered from PTSD
Let's
because
see here.
she was
Yeah.
completely all these bad
Well,
things happened to her.
I
and
wonder if this is like
led
Yeah,
a
when you're a
very-
Borg, that kind of fucks you up.
led a very
Yeah.
hard life.
she's
She
a
has-
mix of human and machine. And this is her before.
What?
Yeah,
when
yeah.
she was
What?
yeah.
When?
That when she was
That was
first
the first
aboard.
episodes.
Yeah.
That's how she showed up on the ship?
Yeah.
And she probably in her contract was like, how many episodes do I have to dress up like that?
Yeah.
Why did she change that? Why did her look change?
Because they took all the
They took all the Borg implants out.
implants out,
After they kidnapped her.
and they wanted better ratings.
Who kidnapped her?
Voyager.
Janeway and Voyager.
So she was the liaison on the Voyager. At one point,
yeah, the Borg
when
sent her
everyone's
over to help out.
yeah, and everyone's betraying everyone else, and they might as well just keep her,
Oh wow.
and they did.
Yeah, they're like, she's human and we can give her back. And it was a real mixture
I'm like
because
sad looking at that picture.
yeah, because you're going between this, okay, this is your current family, but then they're like, but no, but you're really human and you need to give their chance. We're gonna force you out of your family you have now and back into something that you've never known.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, think about
it's-
that.
I mean, it was sad on all ends. Like
Yeah.
she was a slave to the Borg, and then she had to be ripped away from the Borg. But
Yeah.
she probably didn't like it.
She had to regrow her hair after being assimilated. Okay, we figured that.
That's why it's short.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then
there's some mixed morality in the later Trek.
All right,
Like,
here's
it's not
here's
cut and dry like in Next Generation.
Yeah.
and the original series.
I don't know when this was.
now this one
revealed. It
says she might have been one of the first humans ever assimilated. Now she was on a planet with her parents, and her parents, I believe they were assimilated as well, and then she became assimilated along with her parents.
Yeah, in fact, they were scientists that were researching the Borg. I think.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
And
they were
brought their
following them
kids.
around.
Yeah,
and
they were following them around,
treating them
thinking
like they
that
were
everything
pets.
yeah, everything will be okay.
Yeah,
It's like watching those people who follow tigers or
yeah,
or,
going. Yeah,
or
he likes
gorillas.
me. Yeah,
He likes me.
yeah, and yeah, because they were going on their ship and everything, right?
Yeah.
Remember that they were doing
Like
all
that guy
stuff?
that follows the grizzlies, used to follow the grizzlies around
Right.
Canada, and then he got all ripped up.
Yeah, Grizzly didn't take kindly to that.
No.
All right, so let's see. What is number
what's
one on
number
this?
one?
on this list?
It's gonna be. She was disconnected from the Borg hive mind. I
mind.
can't
Yeah, we
believe
already
it.
knew
That's
that.
Shocking.
Yeah, we
So-
already
Yeah.
knew that.
So another.
And that's Hugh right there.
I saw that one actually.
Oh, look at all that stuff he has on him.
So
Lots of tubes.
when it comes to famous Star Trek characters, where do you rank 7 of 9 among any of the captains? I mean, or
Well,
also
when
with
you
the
say
other,
famous, do you mean notable?
all the
Because
notable, yeah.
I think, yeah, 7 of 9 is going to be up there because she brought in a whole different level of people to the show, just like the same way T'Pol did.
I
Did
think she extended it by 2 seasons.
Did she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did she almost overshadow Janeway and any other
Um,
character on that show?
Okay, everyone knows that Janeway's a badass.
Yeah, she is. I always loved
7 of
watching
9.
Janeway.
She's a hottie.
Mm.
Hottie.
It was a good mix. It was a good mix. of-
Hottie
okay.
badass.
Yeah, yeah. I that's actually the perfect explanation.
So, but yeah, as far as like your favorite female Star Trek characters, is 7 and 9 like the top?
Mm.
I don't know. I liked in the movies there was what was the chick that was in Cheers for years?
Kirstie Alley.
Oh,
Yeah, I liked her as a Vulcan.
oh yeah, she was a scientist.
Yeah,
in the one where they,
some of the movies in the original movies.
yeah.
Yeah, I
she
liked
was
her.
a Vulcan. I thought she was just like
No, she was Vulcan.
She was a Vulcan.
Oh,
in
wow.
those. Yeah. Under Spock.
What about the girl from the Next Generation who can like read minds and
Oh,
and
God.
empathetic?
Oh, Deanna
The
Troy.
plot device lady.
Yeah.
You know, I could sense he's angry.
Mhm.
I mean, even she, as
Oh.
an actress, like has later on, like, yeah, it was a little frustrating. Some of the roles I played in that show. Some of the most awkward episodes also were hers.
Yeah, I'll search women of Star Trek.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
see.
take a look at that. I like the episode where she lost her powers to be intuitive and she had to learn how to be a human.
Can you imagine though how hard that would have to be though for
It-
when you're just used to hearing everyone and all of a sudden you hear no one? let's see
I've
what this
seen it a
is
few
here.
times and
Oh, these are all the women.
Oh,
all
yeah. There's
all
the
the
green
characters.
one. There's the famous green one.
Now
that-
Kirk, I don't think he actually slept with her.
no, they had to do that in the movie.
Yeah, they always say that. Everybody says Kirk sleeps with green women, but
what do you mean they had to do that in the movie? They
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
he's-
this character here. This one,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
What are we saying?
I enjoyed her quite
Oh,
a
okay.
bit. She was
Okay.
like the witch or something like that.
Okay.
And
Yeah, wasn't she with the group of hippies that took over the ship or something?
no, that was different. This is the
Okay.
one where she's on the planet. She coerced Kirk to pretend to be like, the leader of his thing, and he was on that mountain with raising his arms in the air. He's all like, "Oh, I am so happy."
What about like the major ones like Uhura, T'Pol?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Uhura was, absolutely iconic. I don't know. I don't know these are here. This might just be someone's penta. There's Uhura.
There she is.
Yeah, and this is
That's
actually
her in the Evil Universe episode.
right.
You can
Yeah,
tell that just from that photo.
Yes.
yeah. Because you can
Because
see
we're
what she's-
Trekkies, man.
Yeah,
we-
you can see what she's wearing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
But-
okay. Because she.
that and she's holding a knife aggressively.
Yeah. Look
Okay.
here, Mister.
Okay.
Yeah.
You stay away
'Cause-
from me.
In the Evil Universe, everyone's kind of a jerk to each other.
Right. Yeah.
It's a different military hierarchy.
What's the name of the actress who plays her in the new ones?
Oh.
Saldana.
Yeah. Zoe Saldana.
Did you like Zoe Saldana? as
Yeah.
Uhura?
I liked her better in other stuff, but
She's
she does a
also-
good job as Uhura.
Did you think
Uhura.
her relationship with Spock was a little too overt in the movie?
Yeah, it was. Spock is supposed to be neutral, It's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
What
yeah.
were they hooking up? And
They were
Yeah,
together. They were
yeah.
together the whole time.
And then they're arguing half half of it in the second movie and all that.
So
causing
in the
trouble.
original series and shows, Spock doesn't hook up with any girls.
Spock was very Vulcan, and in a way, you
Spock
could.
He doesn't have
hook up.
emotions, so yeah, like.
Yeah, he doesn't hook up.
But
with
he
people.
doesn't. Yeah, okay. But they hooked him up for.
But technically, though, if you think about it, Spock is half human, so you could say in a way they represented him a little more accurately in the movie, this
Right.
movie, than they did in the actual TV series,
Yeah.
because he was half human.
Yeah, but for some reason, even though he was basically asexual in the original series, there were a lot of chicks that really liked
Oh,
Spock.
yeah. Strong, stoic.
Yeah, get a bowl haircut. And
Yeah,
get
super
some pointy
straight.
ears. You do pretty well in the 70s.
Yeah.
I liked her in Avatar 1 and 2. Did you see those? movies?
Yeah. Oh, I saw the first one. The second one I haven't seen.
Oh, the second one.
Oh,
was
The
pretty
Way of
awesome.
Water.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, Solomon's making a face for the way.
Yeah, I
of
heard
Water.
that. I heard the tone.
Oh my god.
The whole plot. Yes, they're after us, so let us go and endanger a whole other segment of our society by being amongst them. And then there was the kid bullying. It was just all these little stories that have just been told over and over and over again. Just
well, the first one was Dances with Wolves with blue people.
yeah,
It was a very pretty movie, though.
yeah.
I like.
Yeah, it
the
really was,
action
huh?
sequences.
It was a
Actually.
very pretty movie.
There's that, and then there's the action sequences. So, but it was like mind blowing action sequences.
So, what else about Star Wars?
Star Wars,
Star Trek. I mean,
Star
do
Wars.
you
know
are
Star
curi-
Wars. I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
big fan of Star Wars. Okay. Oh no.
What else about Star
Am
Trek?
I curious?
Yeah. Did you?
Well, I mean, we
'Cause
only
we
have
touched on it,
we only
yeah.
have so much time here on the show.
Oh yeah, we're
but
an
but
hour,
I
we're an
always
hour already.
I do like when I'm asked a question on the show, so I will answer this question. So the question is, what else do I want to know about Star Trek?
Yes.
I like to ask you guys what your favorite shows were, like, so that I know, like, oh, I'm not being cliche by just liking Picard, or like I liked Enterprise. Solomon here likes Enterprise. So like I would say, like, what is something that makes you guys are like, oh, that guy's not a real Star Trek fan if he likes that, or if he like when did Star Trek most step away from what Star Trek to be?
After the first new movie for me. Like,
Yeah.
The first new movie, okay, it was still Star Trek. And then after that, it just kind of turned into, there was no more philosophy in it. None of the Trek morality play. Because there was a point where at the very beginning of it, it was a morality play set in the future. And they stayed with that same method into Next Generation. And then it got a little muddied with Deep Space Nine, but it was wartime. It was kind of they were at peace for all the original stuff. And then all of a sudden it just turned into fist fights in the future with Star Trek technology.
Yeah, like that third movie, like there probably was no good point made and that I can recall. Like if there was any point to that movie, and I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember a moral quandary in there. Like who's right, what is right, and
So that's what
what's
you
the
love.
best way to go about it.
That's what you love about Star Trek. On the topic of the reboots, when did Spock and Uhura hook up? Was that at the end of one, or is the second movie? Or
That's the first movie, what they call the Kelvin timeline.
oh yeah, the
The
Kelvin
Kelvin
time.
Yeah.
timeline.
So we hadn't
Well,
mentioned
they
that yet.
changed the timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Kelvin timeline, they were together in that. But in the series, she was always in love with the doctor, like in the original series. I don't know if you remember that. The nurse Chapel
Yeah,
was in
Chapel
love
and
with him.
Spock was always
Yeah, and then
was
they
the
recreated that under Captain Pike now too.
huh.
Yeah.
So same question to Solomon, and then we'll be done. What is it that most bothers you that like about Star Trek that might have changed over the years?
See, and I gotta my answer to that question will be nothing. Like
Mm.
I just
Star
love,
Trek is infallible.
yeah, I just love the evolution, and to me, everything they add on just widens the universe. You know what I mean? I don't like some of the be all end all technology that you see in Discovery.
How
You know,
about how about at the end of Picard season one, where he has this machine that can do anything he wants it to do, and he completely takes over the army by imagining all this. They came up with some crazy technology
wait.
at the end of season one of Picard that
Oh,
was
season one.
season one of Picard. There was like this unbelievable technology that was introduced in the last episode and saved the day.
Well, yeah, I'm actually sort of okay with that. I mean, but what I'm talking about is just in terms of like the evolution. Like if you look at Discovery, I mean, the Federation's gone. There was a blip that killed all warp technology. And so basically it's just a ragtag group of ships that have come together, and you got, one ship that's able to do some things, and that's sort of it. And so it's sort of like I don't really like that they went so far into the future that you don't see, what happened there. But still, they sort of managed to sort of like, keep everything going. Some of the technology they have in there is just too powerful. It's sort of like how I don't like Superman, because Superman is like he has he's too strong. He's too everything, like
Right,
Captain Marvel, right? It's like,
right.
why do you need the other superheroes? Just put him in there. So I never like when they do that, when they just have no limitations on stuff. And some of the new stuff does that. But
And just so between whatever it is and Discovery, Enterprise and no, more like between Next Generation and Discovery, like how many years have supposedly passed before we get to
oh, I
Discovery?
couldn't tell you that, not off the top of my head.
Like hundreds of years have passed in between, or like
Um,
it sounds like there's some major change that's happened. I didn't realize that was the plot of the show.
um, yeah.
It wouldn't have been the end of
I'm
Next
trying to think.
Generation. It
Was
would be
it
like the
they?
end of
I
like
think on
Voyager.
Discovery they jumped into the future or something.
Okay, so they jump way into the future. I didn't know what the plot of that was.
All
Okay,
right. Um,
it's always fun to look at timelines
Oh
when you
yeah.
start talking about Star Trek maps, timelines, the history of the
well, they've
Federation.
got a pretty extensive timeline here, but I think it's a little bit too complicated to go through. But I'll just show it
Yes,
to you really
yes, yes,
quick.
yes, yes.
So this is a Wikipedia page here. The birth of the universe.
This is part of the fun, right, of being a
Yeah,
Trekkie.
next generation,
Oh, yeah,
3.5
yeah,
billion.
I know.
Yeah. So
A
I
lot to
mean,
keep track of.
yeah, and this is going episode by episode too. So I imagine there's some episodes where they went back in time or whatever.
Because there
USS
is a
Franklin
lot of
goes
time
missing.
jumping.
Yeah, so these are now we're in the 22, the Final Frontier, the Voyage Home. These are some of the movies here. Um,
So
Next
the Next
Generation
Generation
season
season
one,
one, just for everybody knows, that's 2,364,
right?
300 years in the future. Okay.
So then those things are just follow in years. By the way, do you know how many seasons the original Star Trek lasted? Trivia
Two, was
question.
it? It was two, right?
It was three
3
seasons.
seasons.
Yeah, 3 seasons.
Just enough for syndication.
But you would think, just as much it was as it became an icon of society, you think it would have been more. You know what I mean? But only 3 seasons is crazy. Um, yeah. So there's a lot to this, obviously.
Oh,
But
you're gonna just scroll down to the end when we get to
oh, you want to scroll all the way down?
when we get to Discovery.
Okay, let's
Oh,
see.
oh no, oh, where'd it
Go
go?
back.
There was a
Go back.
long gap in Star
There's
Trek.
Discovery. Okay, so Discovery is
You found it? I don't even see it.
3180.
It's at the far end.
Yeah, 3189. Right here, Discovery.
31. It's
So
1,000.
it's 1,000 years.
Yeah,
a
they jumped.
1,000 years in the future.
They
Okay.
jumped. Yeah.
And you.
Oh, and this was called the burn. See here, it says 369 the burn.
Yeah.
By the collapse of most of the United Federation of Planets. That's what happened.
So the burn is
The burn is an episode that basically stopped all warp technology.
I mean, when you jump 1,000 years or even 500 years in the future, it's almost like you're not telling the same story anymore. Like, what happened to the old characters? I guess we'll see them. We see
They're
them in
dead.
Picard. We see them in Picard.
Yeah, they're all
they're
dead.
dead. They die.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on the Brandon K Show. I gotta say, I'm still Star Wars is still number one for me, but I enjoyed.
Where's my boo button on here? Let's see.
We didn't.
Nope.
So you guys, I mean, we're leaving here, but you
There
guys
it
like
is.
you guys have to admit you like Star Wars, right?
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah,
is fun.
Star Wars is cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
lightsabers.
Okay.
Who doesn't want to own a lightsaber?
All right. And with that, thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.